Hello, everybody. Andrew Field here. As always, let's get into the news. Starting off with the impeachment inquiry. Trump demanded to meet the whistleblower and was trying to find out the whistleblower's identity, which is wrong. Trump ordered a substantial reduction in the staff of the National Security Council after the whistleblower. A second whistleblower has been confirmed, and a third whistleblower, unrelated directly to the impeachment charges, came forward on Trump's taxes in the IRS. Trump rallied against Adam Schiff, said he committed highest level of fraud and treason, which is not true. He's just mad at him because he's doing his job in this impeachment. Rob Anderson, a man who plans to contest Louisiana's 3rd District in 2020, hit up Giuliani on Twitter in responses to Giuliani attacking Adam Schiff, and he said he'll forever be remembered with the dictators of the world, which I appreciated because it's true. And Giuliani used to be the mayor of New York, and everyone said that he did the right things after 9/11, but he's really fallen and taken a toll. House Democrats subpoena Giuliani for Ukraine documents. Giuliani discusses his options with Fox News. House Democrats subpoena White House for Ukraine documents. Democrats release Ukraine scandal texts. Biden calls for Trump's impeachment for the first time. Two Giuliani associates who helped him on Ukraine were charged with campaign finance violations and were arrested. And I think that would mean that Giuliani should be arrested eventually too. Hunter Biden ended up stepping down from the Chinese board amid Trump's attacks on him. About the two Giuliani associates, they funneled Russian money into President Trump's election campaign. Oh, Russia. Wow, I haven't heard that one before. House subpoenas Giuliani associates. Trump says that Fox sucks after they report that 51% of Americans want him impeached, which I was happy to see. Growing number of Republicans also, which is good, means the partisan divide isn't that bad. Trump says that he doesn't know if he'll keep Giuliani as his personal attorney, but they just had lunch together, so it seems like against his Republican advisors telling him that he should dump Giuliani, it seems like he wants to keep him anyway. So it may be a bad decision in the long run, but you know that's up to him, I guess. Trump embraces the theory that Ukraine and not Russia intervened in the 2016 election, and they did so on behalf of the Democrats, which is he's trying to confuse the public, and which makes him an idiot because a president should not be putting out conspiracy theories to try to screw up with the public knowledge. Trump's defenders are having a hard time, saying that Trump did nothing wrong. They say that Trump did nothing wrong, and they're mad at the whistleblower for doing his job and protecting our country against treason and corruption. The treason seems to be getting to Trump. Trump congratulated President Xi on China's 70 years of communism, which is the opposing values of our country. Thankfully, the Republican lawmakers did not react the same way, and Trump was disgusting for doing that. And then Trump publicly asked China and Ukraine to investigate the Bidens on television. Trump talked to China of Warren and Biden in June. Pence defended Trump's phone call with Ukraine President Zelensky. And Mike Pence may be the worst vice president we have ever had. In my opinion, I think he might be the worst. I don't know a whole lot about vice presidents, but he didn't really do anything. He's against the LGBTQ community harshly, and he just sticks with Trump so he doesn't do anything productive at all. Well, I mean, every once in a while, but not really. And another reason why Pence defended him was he was found to be pressured to get involved in the phone call by Trump. Romney, in a closed-door meeting of GOP senators, said that pushing an investigation of Biden's son, Hunter, was treading on dangerous ground that could boomerang on the party, which is true. Mitt Romney blasts Trump for a wrong and appalling call for China to probe the Bidens. About time. It took him a while, but he did it. And then Trump went on a Twitter rant hating Romney. Romney's comments sparked outbursts from GOP Senators Sudan Collins, Ben Sasse, and even Lindsey Graham, thankfully. China publicly said they will not interfere in the internal affairs of the U.S., would let the American people sort out their problems. And it seems like they may have gotten involved in some way, but if for them to publicly state that's pathetic and how bad of a state that we're in right now. But it could be better. Trump gets impeached. Trump blamed making the call on Rick Perry. Excuse me. He blamed the call on Rick Perry. He pressed Australian leader on helping Barr investigate Mueller's inquiry origins. He wanted to discredit the Mueller report after it came out. The New York Times touches on how bad it is that the Republicans are not backing away from Trump. Even with the impeachment probe, McConnell said the Senate would hold a trial if Trump is impeached. Trump tweeted a largely misleading map that showed him controlling most of America in 2016, saying trying to impeach this, that's what they're doing. And Republicans are largely silent on the president's scandal. Um, they're not condemning him at all, but I was thinking that maybe it'd be a good thing if they fly under the radar and end up impeaching him in a vote. So there's always that option. The White House also said that it would not cooperate with the House impeachment inquiry. And a big deal with the appeals court, they said that Trump's financial records must be given to the House. That was pretty recent. That's a big deal because, that's the court stepping in, that third branch. And if those records get into the House, then that'd be a big part of the investigation because, along with all these other charges, there's going to be charges of him not paying his taxes because he clearly didn't, or else he would have released the information by now. Barr sought foreign help on inquiry into the CIA and FBI. Trump hopes to discredit U.S. intelligence agencies' examinations on the 2016 Russia meddling. Pompeo, Secretary of State, was on the Trump-Ukraine call. He resists House Democrats' efforts to interview State Department officials. Former Trump Organization Vice President Barbara Ress said Trump will not wait until impeachment, will resign or make a deal, and will say that he left to save the Republican Party, which I could see. And she said Trump is toast, so that was cool. The House plans to subpoena a key witness after the White House blocked Gordon Sondland, the U.S. ambassador to the European Union and central figure in the impeachment inquiry, from talking out. The House wanted to ask him on a series of text messages that was sent between him and others. Obstruction for an impeachment inquiry is grounds for impeachment. Like interfering in the impeachment inquiry is an offense of itself. Acting Home Secretary Kevin McAllen is out of there. Former FBI Director James Comey is working on getting Trump out of office. Former ambassador to Ukraine testified in the House in closed-door meeting. Trump plans to sue Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi. 17 federal prosecutors from the Watergate case say Trump is guilty of the same that Trump is guilty of the same offenses that brought Nixon down, abuse of power. So I thought that was a pretty big deal. And the original whistleblower who got the information out about this to the public and started this impeachment inquiry, because of Trump, his safety is, we have to worry about his safety. So they're saying that he is gonna have to be masked, and they do it in a closed-door meeting in a remote location, so Trump can't try to track him down, which is scary. But it's good that they're taking all the precautions necessary for the whistleblower to be able to testify because it's crucial. Even though I think they already have all of the information they need between the transcript Trump released and the whistleblower information and the text messages that have been released, and Trump said it publicly on television. John Bolton shared his disagreements on Trump's North Korea policy. He does not think Kim Jong-un is going to give up nuclear weapons, which I agree. It's not likely he will. Chuck Grassley breaks with Trump over protecting the whistleblower. Facebook CEO Zuckerberg said Facebook would sue the U.S. government if Warren became president. And, I mean, come on, Facebook, you've gotten in a lot of trouble recently. You really think you're going to win a case against the U.S. government? I don't think so. They're just worried because Warren's actually going after them, which is a good thing, in my opinion. Brexit takes center stage in Queen's speech. The UK, Great Britain, has not made a deal yet with the European Union, and the UK really doesn't want to do a no-deal Brexit. I thought that the best course of action, because I think it was like 50.8 to like 50.2 in the 2016 vote of leaving the European Union, what they should do is extend the deadline and then have another vote and say, okay, we've done this. Your original Prime Minister, Theresa May, resigned over not being able to complete this and work with the legislators there. So is it really worth it to leave the European Union, or should Great Britain stay? I think they should, because I love the EU. So I think they should, and they should do another vote, because I would guess that if they had another vote, it'd be clear cut that they wouldn't do this. Instead of leaving and having all these consequences, especially if they don't have a deal with the European Union, could really hurt their country a lot. So that's what they should do, but they're not. And the deadline, I think, is October 31st for when they leave the EU. So if they don't extend the deadline or do some action or work out a deal, they're going to be in a heap of trouble. Japan Typhoon Hagibis caused 15 deaths and 140 injuries. Um, I mean, which isn't like extremely bad with their population, but it's still sad that people passed on this typhoon. 230,000 people were evacuated ahead of the storm, and thoughts and prayers go to those families and the area there. Hopefully, the number does not increase substantially. A new book told us that Trump said soldiers at the southern border should shoot migrants in the legs to slow them down. When the staff said it was impractical, Trump said, "You're making me look like an idiot." He wanted to put a moat filled with alligators at the southern border. Obama mentioned the idea as a joke in 2011. Stephen Colbert used it even earlier. Trump suspends entry of immigrants who cannot pay for health care, which seems like a lot because usually when you immigrate to another country, you're not going to have a ton of money, and healthcare is expensive, so that's a stupid idea. Trump visited the Villages, the largest retirement community in the country. North Korea walked away from the U.S. on ending their nuclear program. An Iran oil tanker a couple days ago, or 2 days ago, was hit by two missiles near a Saudi port. Car bombers attacked U.S. and European military targets in Somalia. Extreme group the Shabab claimed responsibility for one of the assaults. The U.S. is deploying a large force in Saudi Arabia following the oil attack. And okay, so with this, I think that's a good decision because that was an attack that was most likely caused by Iran, and it didn't go with too many consequences. I think we're currently sanctioning Iran, but not too many consequences from the U.S. or the international community for that matter. And it left big consequences for that with limiting Saudi Arabia's oil supply for the time being and caused oil prices to blow up, but the world didn't have an effective response, so I think it's good that we deploy a force in Saudi Arabia following that to secure them as our ally. But at the same time, if Trump is going to do that, for him to pull forces from Syria just makes it way worse because you can't say, oh, like if you're not going to back all of our allies, you can't back some and not others. And can't be like, oh, we don't want to get involved in things when you're helping out Saudi Arabia and just leaving the Kurdish forces to die in Syria. And I will get back to that in a moment. In other news around the world, Mexico stopped the latest caravan trying to cross the United States, which is a sad thing. Going on with Hong Kong, a protester was shot by police during China's Anniversary Day. Protesters threw a patrol bomb at an officer's feet. I think the one that shot the protester. In China, 15,000 soldiers celebrated the anniversary of communism China, which has lasted longer than the Soviet Union now. Which I don't like communism, so yeah, it's too bad, but Hong Kong leader put forth a questionable, at best, mask ban. Executive trying to get the law passed without a legislative check. It escalated protests. Metro stations were attacked and shut down. Thousands marched against the mask ban. police fired tear gas. Apple removed an app that allowed Hong Kong protesters to track police, and Google, and I kind of get that, but Google removed a pro Hong Kong protester game from the Play Store, which I don't know why they did that. I guess they just don't want to have a side, but I think that's kind of stupid, and I don't know if China even allows Google to run in China anyway, so. Okay, so there was feuding between China and the NBA over Hong Kong protests, where I think one of the general managers of the Houstons maybe was in support of the Hong Kong protests, and then China was saying, "Oh, we're not going to show the NBA or the Houston Rockets um, there anymore," because they said that. And I know China's a big, like kind of a big market. They're trying to breach into, but you have to keep your, you can't just let China roll over you just because, and not bring up the Hong Kong protests and where they're like, oh, we don't want to talk about the Hong Kong protests because we don't want to lose China. I think that's kind of disgusting. The NBA needs to do a better job. But the feuding between China and the NBA gave the Hong Kong protests more attention. All right, now with this thing with Turkey, this thing was the worst news since I've talked last. I was thinking it was the worst thing Trump's done, but then there's the Ukraine scandals, that's number one, and he's done multiple horrible things. But in terms of international, well, the Ukraine is international policy, but this is a really bad move, and something that Trump's been criticized, I think, highly for has been that he's been really bad to our allies in Europe and Asia and all over the world. But we've seen a pattern of him being good to enemies, for some reason, whether it be Kim Jong Un or Vladimir Putin or the crowned prince of Saudi Arabia, and now it's Turkey. Uh, the White House said that Turkey was set to invade Syria, and Trump retreated U.S. troops and moved them from the area. We fought with Kurdish forces in Syria to fight ISIS. We were teaching them to fight ISIS, and they were fighting ISIS on our behalf. And Trump made a deal with Turkey, and he said, "Bye, Kurdish forces. Thank you for what you've done, but we're gonna pull out and we're gonna let them kill you all." And just shows how much of an idiot he is. Like, no one wanted this to happen. He was slammed by lawmakers on both sides of the aisle for this decision, rightfully so. And this is a bad time for him to get criticism from the GOP when the Senate's probably going to have the trial not too long from now, with how well the impeachment inquiry is moving. Trump abandoning Kurdish allies in northern Syria. Kurdish soldiers, like I said, helped America on terrorism. Turkey thinks that Kurds are a terrorist insurgency connected to Kurdistan Workers' Party, a far-left militant political group who has been in various states of conflict with the Turkish government for 4 decades. And this dumbass Trump said he's going to host Turkey's leader in November. So he's leaving our allies, and that makes the rest of our allies be like, well, they were longtime allies of the U.S. How can we trust the U.S. now? And he's saying he's going to host Turkey. Can you imagine Trump sitting next to this freaking leader of Turkey as they're killing our allies? Oh, man. Thankfully, the media is getting on this. Trump got strong-armed by the Turkish president in a phone call, sources said. Graham warns Turkey of sanctions, and he's actually spoke out against the president on this, and I thank him for that. I usually don't agree with Graham, but on this I do. NATO suspension. He warns of sanctions on Turkey and a NATO suspensions if Kurds are attacked, which they are. Turkey attacked the Iraq-Syria border to cut off Kurdish fighters' supply lines. Syrian government has been in a very bad state. The second day of fighting brings heavy fighting. Turkey seized a number of targets, killed dozens of Kurdish militants. 12-year-old civilians are killed. Third day of fighting has Turkey increased air and artillery strikes on Kurdish militia, drawn warnings of human catastrophe. Turkish President Erdogan said he would not stop attacks against the Kurdish militia. Trump's decision to withdraw troops tests Trump's support with GOP, as I was saying. Trump said he was fine with the Kurds dying because they didn't help him in World War II. one of the worst moves of his presidency by far, and that statement is really dumb if you think about it. Kurdish politician and 10 others were killed on the fourth day. Hundreds of ISIS supporters that were escaped ahead of the Turkish invasion. Um, 13,000 fled. Israel was worried of Trump's liability. Is really bad foreign policy. Says we will use you and throw you away. U.S. military says they're not abandoning the Kurds. I think they are, but they're just saying that. They condemned the Turkish offensive. The death toll approached 100. 17 civilians were killed. Turkey bombed U.S. special forces in Syria. So this is where it gets crazy. And this could be definitely a turning point for the U.S. to directly get involved. And it should be. If not protecting our allies, they were um, shooting at our own forces that are in Syria. He moved south of the conflict but does not leave Syria. U.S. forces said that Turkey targeted them in Syria, and they may have tried to push the U.S. farther from the border. And if I were president, I would attack Turkey today. I would say, get out of there. He said, I'm definitely not getting out of there. We're attacking the Kurdish forces, and we're going to kill them all. And then this is where the U.S. says, this is our allies, Turkey. If you don't get out of there, in the next 12 to 24 hours, we're going to kill all of you, and we're going to protect our allies in the Middle East, because that's how America works. We do not leave. We do not, besides Vietnam, but that was because we lost public support. We do not leave our allies. Doesn't matter where they are. It could be Britain, it could be South Korea, it could be the Kurdish forces, but we should not leave our allies ever. And for Trump to make a deal with this other country saying that, it's really disgusting and appalling, and it is opposite of what the president should be doing, and every lawmaker knows that. So hopefully Congress tries to get it going where they approve of attacking Turkey and trying to protect the forces remaining before they're killed by Turkey, because sanctions is not going to be enough. British traveling firm Responsible Travel pushes the government to increase tax to fly sharply to reduce environmental damage. London police arrest 21 peaceful climate change protesters as mass action begins. People blocked roads. Extinction activists were marching in the UK, Australia, and Netherlands. 50 people were detained in Amsterdam for putting a tent in a major road. Extinction Rebellion is a group. They want drastic action done on climate change. Scientists said in July the next 18 months are crucial to curbing climate change. The BBC team went undercover for a year at the University of Lagos and the University of Ghana to show sexual harassment with girls. It was against school policy. China, suspended work with rockets after the GM posted a tweet supporting pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. China Natural Petroleum Corporation pulled out of a $5 billion natural gas project in Iran, which was good. U.S. sanctions are squeezing Iran-backed Hezbollah and Lebanon. Like I was saying, the deadline with Brexit is October 31st. I'm sorry, I should be posting every week. When it becomes every 2 weeks, things become jumbled and just creates problems. Explosions rock California Oktoberfest and leave multiple injured. 9 shot, 4 dead in a shooting in a Kansas City bar. Wildfires explode in Southern California, prompting mandatory evacuations, power outages. Warren passed Biden in a national poll. Warren didn't mention impeachment in a San Diego rally she recently had. I'm sorry, I just lost where I was. So yeah, that's a big deal because Biden was always on top, and it seems like Warren has, she's been rising in the polls for a while now, and says that she's passed Biden. And they campaigned, Democratic candidates campaigned in Iowa, participated in Iowa Steak Fry. Warren did not post the video, but someone else did of Trump supporters berating her at the airport. All 2020 candidates need security. Trump supporters, Sanders canceled events until further notice after having surgery. Insert stents in an open. He had to have stents in an artery blockage after the heart attack. Sanders is in good spirits, his team said. He stayed home during an LGBTQ event, like recovering, that Biden attended to. He's trying to recover in time for the debate Tuesday in Ohio. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's calls Warren a baller, which I thought was really cool. Kamala Harris asked the Twitter CEO to censor Trump's Twitter account. Beto posts himself doing like tasks on social media, like getting a flu shot, shows he's like a real human being and like middle class. Pro-Trump group disrupted AOC's town hall with a lady who screamed about eating babies. Trump's family tweeted the lady was an AOC fan. Trump joins AOC and Sanders to create a Twitch account to spread their policies. I think that's a smart decision because that's a big site for the youth, with gaming and whatever. I watch Twitch from time to time, but I mean not really, but you know it is. I know it's a big platform. A group of Sanders supporters say they will not vote for Warren if she isn't the nominee, which I think is not the brightest because who are you going to vote for? Trump? And if you don't vote at all, then what are you doing? That's the main way of our democracy, the main thing you can do, so I don't think that's smart. Warren and Sanders condemned corporate journalism. Sorry. Warren and Sanders condemned corporate companies that were gutting journalism. The next debate is October 15th in Ohio. 12 candidates, CNN, The New York Times are co-hosting the debate. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Tulsi Gabbard and Tom Steyer made the debate, and Gabbard supports a proposal during primary debates to ban advertisements. Klobuchar took shots at health and education plans put by Warren and Sanders. So I think even though there's originally 20 candidates, I think there was still like 18 left, if I can remember, 17 or 18, but only 12 made the debate, and I think the restrictions were loosened, so it'd be easier to get in. So I think the candidates that did not make this debate are out of the race. So I think it essentially is cut down to 12. California will be the first state to let college athletes earn money. The federal judge blocks Georgia's abortion ban. Forever 21 filed for bankruptcy. Joaquin Phoenix lost 52 pounds. Director recommended him losing for Joker, gave him a disorder. Spider-Man is officially back into the MCU for 2 movies. The vaping outbreak surpasses 1,000 cases, 18 deaths, no signs of stopping. Record snowfall hits the central U.S. A Nobel Prize given to Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, for his efforts to achieve peace with Eritrea. I wanted it to go to Greta, but you know she's got a long life ahead of her, hopefully, so a lot of time to get the Nobel Peace Prize. High school teacher in Georgia was placed on administrative leave after telling the class that Confederate flag meant marrying your sister. Mississippi Appeals Court set to hear on 15-week abortion ban. 1 suspect was detained at the hospital. 2 suspects at large, armed and dangerous. 3 suspects killed. Joshua Brown, a witness to the Amber Geyer trial, where a former cop got jailed for 10 years, killing her neighbor, Botham Jean. Jean's brother, Brace Geyer, in court forgave her. Jean's brother was stupid, and he said that Geyer should have no jail time for killing an unarmed neighbor. Illinois Senator Martin Sandoval submitted a letter saying he's stepping down from the committee post after theft probe. The first marathon done under 2 hours was by Eliud Kipchoge, which was impressive. Disney Plus teamed up with Hulu against Netflix, which is a big deal. 4 homeless men were killed, and one was hospitalized in New York, beaten to death in their sleep. The suspect was a 24-year-old in custody, was also homeless. He had a metal pipe near the scene. So, big shame to Google, because Google is funding climate change denialism, and that makes Google a stupid company. I don't understand why they're funding money to climate change denialism, and it said it was generous amounts of money. So I just wanted to let you know that. Vikings Diggs was fined $200,000 for missed absences. Patriots coach Belichick says helmet to helmet shot on QB Allen was what we've coached, which is wrong. Raiders Von Taze Burflicht was suspended the rest of the season. A good response by the NFL with an ejection season suspension. He was laughing after getting ejected and had the head-to-head contact, and he's had a record of these kind of hits, so it seems like his career is over. So bye-bye, Burflicht, or whatever your stupid name is. You're a stupid person. Um, TikTok takes off all political ads, and Tesla releases a summon feature that allows users to have the car come to them from their phones. Alright, thank you for the video. I'm sorry for it being really long, and I'll see you in the next video that should come out sooner than this one. See ya.